And so my question was going to be, and the short answer, Saul, is how do we fix it? But what I'm hearing you say is conversations is story matters. Story matters, and taking the time to listen. I read an article recently about the church, and it talked about kind of 4 things. You know, what are the next steps to move ahead? Because what if it was 10% better? That doesn't mean it's the issue is fixed. But I think sometimes I hear in some people there's a little bit of, it's always been this way, it's always going to be that way. And the hope is no, it needs to change. We're moving in the direction of Christ. In him we live and move and have our being, and he's calling us to something, which means he's calling us to do something. And so the article talked about, starting with our own families. For me, being I was described as a white middle-aged female, and I was like, dang. But that's true. I am a white middle-aged female, and I have lived with a level of ignorance that I can talk about now, and I talk about it as my own ignorance. And sometimes people try and, oh, no, but no, that's true. I have lived with a certain amount of ignorance based on my own experience and where I grew up. And part of that is I think I don't know my own story, and I want to know my own story. I want to dig a little deeper than I have. But talking to our kids about these issues, having these conversations, and even relaying stories that we've heard at a dinner table style setting, and having those conversations at home first, so that the next generation doesn't repeat what we've done. We all have blind spots and biases, and I'm just learning about my own right now. I know some of them. I don't know all of them, but just being aware and acknowledging that they're there is a start. But what else can we do?
Well, I think that's it, right? It's not there isn't a silver bullet for this thing, right? It is really a holistic approach. I think you start with yourself, you start with your family, you start with your community, right? And you do that, and then if you do that, the cumulative impact of that happening across the country is what brings change. Now, that's the bottom up approach, right? But you have to have a top down approach too, because of how our systems are built. And so, change has to also happen with the process, and the process can be synonymous with systems. When you think of business, the first thing you learn in business school is people, product, process, right? So that when you take systems and you pull the product out, because the product of the results, right, is what we're looking for. We're looking for better results, I think, is what I hear you saying. So what does that mean? Well, that means the only other 2 left are people in process. And so you got to get the right people in the right seats, and you have to make sure that the process fits what you want the results to be.